No, you don't have to be. I'm not either.
Okay. Now, yeah, you're used to do this. Okay.
Well, actually, no, I am not really used to doing this. This is this whole development with interviewing is quite new for me. I'm a tech person, but actually in creating software solutions, it's completely different when you do something with, with the intention of promoting, like, let's say interviews, when you start really going into the setup and the technology of, microphones and the quality of camera settings. So basically what I really do is I just push the button record and then stop the record, and everything that happens in between, the whole meaningfulness of the conversation is actually what matters. And I
Yes.
think, like, so we could make this whole thing fancy, but I would have to, that's going to happen as I progress. And I know
Mhm.
that, but for now, that's not what matters. I feel like it's really important to get the messages out. People are really looking for answers. So
Yeah.
that's what I mentioned at the beginning, which is the principle of find your mentor. Everybody has something to learn and everybody has something to teach. And I think that's basically how we met, because my connection with Stephen Tenner, which was the reason why we connected, was also based on that principle. I was in California, I was introducing Find Your Mentor. He was on stage before me. And I heard his speech and I'm like, wow, here's somebody who knows how to talk. He knows how to capture an audience,
Yeah.
and he is fascinating. And you've been following him much longer than I have. And
No,
then
no, no,
we connected.
no, no,
No,
no, no,
no.
no. I discovered him while I was in Utah for 2 weeks at a friend's house, and that he was, he has a Telegram channel, and
Yes. Tenor
I don't
talk. Yep.
talk. I bumped into that. I don't know why, but I heard. Oh yeah, he was introduced in a voice chat at another digital soldier,
Digital
and
soldier, I think. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
he
Mhm.
was there speaking, and I thought, wow,
Mm.
this is someone. So I texted him that he spoke like I would do if I could. He used
Yes.
words.
How we all
He
want
used
to speak.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I texted him my appreciation, and I was touched by him. And then I followed his Tenor Talk channel, and he said something about the Truth Tour #3 on the 14th of January, and I thought, oh, maybe that's my sort of thing to do something for that or so. I felt some inner calling for that. So and then I figured out that he was in Phoenix.
Mhm.
And I wanted to move out of Utah to
Mhm.
a warmer place. Then the snow was coming there. So I said to him, I'm coming to Phoenix and I'm joining you there at the Memorial Park where you are, already every day or hanging out with patriots.
Mhm.
So I drove there on the Sunday, 27th of November.
Mhm.
And I arrived late in the evening and Memorial Park was empty.
Mhm.
Then I texted him, I'm here in Phoenix, and shall we meet tomorrow or tonight, or where are you? And he said, and then he texted me just an address, and I said, okay, it will take me another 23 minutes. And I went to that address, and that was the famous meeting with Herm Lewis, with the professor, with Joe Altman, and with other patriots who were gathering in that patriots house in somewhere next to Chandler. And I fell into that patriots heaven. So we had a great evening with dinner and talks and meetings. For me, everybody was new, and Joe Altman came there for the first time. All for him was all also everybody new. So it was an amazing historical evening, you could say. And then the next morning, I joined the Patriots into the special meeting for Maricopa County. So there, the connection with Tanner was so natural and so destined to be for me
Mhm.
that, I, so Tanner knows me now because I was sitting next to him in the Maricopa
Cool.
County special meeting. You know, I support him what I can do, sort of with the connections with within the Patriots or whatever. I'm very, you know, I can do that with people, you know, opening up, casting questions, whatever. So we had a good time. So, but yeah, from then on, I was, yeah, I'm following him every day, and
Yes,
and
he's so
then
lovely.
he had that healing, those healing chats with the healing.
Yeah.
It took my attention, and then you know, I had at that time things to do with my living here in Phoenix, so I was busy, and I told Tanner, you know, sorry, I cannot show up every time because I'm busy now here, and he said, do your thing. So you know, that's normal for us people. We have to do our own thing to keep the balance, and so we can move on. So sometimes you have to back down, and I was busy here with friends and living here in Scottsdale now, and so but I followed him, and then I get into the voice chat last Friday or so, where you and I thought I take the time now to follow the whole chat, because I want to go into that healing stuff, because I'm a coach. I'm a life coach since 7 years, and I had my clients, but I had to do something else. I was writing a book for my children, and that had to go out first. But anyway, there's a long story around me. But the thing is that that healing that you were talking in that voice chat, and you were talking about the healing, that I thought, wow, I felt so much sort of inside me. This is the direction of my future, because I have since today no income anymore. I was an online administrator. I'm from the numbers and the money and the things, but that's in the Netherlands, it ended. You know, heaven was saying it's enough for you there. So I'm open for everything that is coming on my path. And what I felt in that healing chat, voice chat with you, and telling about 13 and all those things around what you're doing, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to connect with you, because yeah, I felt so much this could help me. I know a lot of health. I'm not a doctor or so, but I was always in my life connected or learning things. You know, there's so much going on that I think this is sort of, I think, my direction to go. So I want to learn more about the healing. You know, I know a lot of things from health, because when I was 24, I was a yoga teacher. You know, then you know a lot of the body. I was married to a doctor. I was a psychiatrist patient myself for many years. So I got out of that by a holistic healing. So I was every time in my life, I am surrounded by health or healthcare or whatever. So I think, my gosh, this is the the way to go. And I felt very happy inside that I had the opportunity to connect with you, you know.
Oh, fascinating. Well, would you like to say a few words about what kind of life coach you are, where you come from? You have a beautiful accent, maybe also touch on why.
Yeah, I'm born in the Netherlands in 1962. I'm a water tiger.
Mhm.
And I grew up in a little village. I went to study at 18. I did because I was very shy and insecure in myself. So I chose not to go to university, but to go to the next level, to do administration and economics. You know, sort of. I came out of my own family. They having my father was a blacksmith. My mom had a big store for the village. You know, so I grew up in a very earthly, business-like, busy family. So I chose for that safe journey to go for administration and economics. I did always my professional life. Had always income from that. But there was always, next to my professional income, there was always that urge and that inner wish to be busy with all kind of esoteric things. I want to know the bigger picture, not only in my job, but also in, you know, in life. So I get in all kind of things. It cannot be crazy enough for me. I went into astrology, and I wanted to switch my professional life all the time, but there was always something that kept me away from going professional in another direction.
Mhm.
When I had my children, I'm blessed that I have two children, two beautiful children. And but thereafter, after the divorce, from the father when they were very young, and I get in depression. That took me to another route, and it wasn't a change to be professional someone else, you know. So all kind of things every time happened that I didn't go in another direction than just, you know, my normal administration thing. So at 50, I was out of my depressions. I was healed holistically, and I knew I will never go back to depression again. That was my inner knowing. That was definitely clear. I had always a difficulty to talk, and that was from then on not a problem anymore. So you know, I
Wow.
can be myself. So for 10 years now, I'm just doing very nice, very fine. I learn, of course, all the time, but from within a sort of freedom, you know, it's my choice.
Mm.
And I have to learn still, but it's not big anymore. There is no big hanging trauma around me. And by writing my book for my children, I released many tears. The start of my writing was about 8 years ago, and I started then finally a professional coach study. And that coach study was 1 year on a high level, and it included muscle testing. It included all kind of healthy things, because we knew as coaches it was the study that was I don't know the word in English, but it was based on the Enneagram. You know Enneagram?
Do you have the word in German or
Yeah, and it's in Dutch Enneagram. I think it's very. I don't know, pronounce it too well, but this is Enneagram. Enneagram. It is based on Gurdjieff. It is based on a very old wise system, and in America there are two famous writers, Rizzo and Hudson.
Mhm.
And my teacher was based his knowledge also on them. And he had made a study and a coaching education that was very, you know, very based on healing and bringing back the power to the people, you could say. Bringing back every client you have in front of you, bringing it back to all those layers that people have around them, gathered as a sort of defense. And we learn to peel that off and bring the people back. And that was the best study I could ever do, because it included what my experience was, where I was healed by. And so that was marvelous. I had and then also, because it was 8 years ago I started that and writing my book, it was bringing me many tears. Finally I could cry, and finally I could go through my old traumas and all the things that were making my life not easy, but it's very worthwhile. So I couldn't have been without all these things to be now in this place. You know, there is nothing that I cannot imagine, that I cannot comprehend or touched on every level. I don't know, but that's my feeling. So that study that brought me to that professional level, I could coach people now, because naturally I do it. I want to help all the time people. But one my astrology teacher was saying to me, "Yeah, Jeannie, you are coaching all the time people, but you are not paid for it, you know." So that's a sort of natural thing in me. But now I have that diploma, so I can do it. And I did some clients, but yeah, that is my experience. I have the study was very broad, so it's in based one-on-one. I can work one-on-one. That is my sort of it is. I didn't learn to work in groups yet, or it's a one-on-one healings.
What is it like the typical thing that a client would come to you for? Like, what would be a very typical, let's say, hurdle, blockage that somebody would have, where they're like, okay, that's what you can help with?
Anything. anything. It is a person. It must be a personal question in the client itself, and I can help them out to figure out which way to go. Because it can be on health level, but it can be on a relation level. It can be on whatever they are stuck and they are aware of, and they have a question about it. Then that's all that's necessary. Mm-hmm. And the broad, I don't know if it's a word, but the broadness, the range, the wide range I have to put the finger on the spot that is at that time necessary. Because we are all in a sort of somewhere in a state of being, and the things that are most bothering us, they have to do being taken care of first. When you have a broken leg, you have to go for that. You cannot work on spiritual things. You have to do your leg thing.
Yes,
So
yes.
everybody is on a certain moment busy with some things in their lives, what is helping. Sometimes you need help with that. Everybody has his own blind spots, even how wise you are. There is always something going. So when people would come to me for help, it can be anything. I'm not a doctor, I'm not into the physical, but I can then say, okay, you have to visit someone. I can how to say that, I know where to go for another more specialist or whatever. Because I have learned to use my own body and the body of the client to know where to go.
Kinesiology?
Oh, sorry?
Is it kinesiology?
Yes. Yeah, based on kinesiology.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a difficult word for me to speak out.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did you come like? Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
No, you finish your sentence. I won't forget.
In Dutch, I can say it very well. It's no, it's even difficult in Dutch, but it's kinesiology.
It's very similar in German. Kinesiology.
Yeah, that's the word. It's still a little bit difficult, but yeah, that's based on my study, my diagnosis in that coaching. The diagnosis is based on your own body. So that, and then the body is wise. So
yes, it's full of wisdom, and it's and we also have this perception still, many of us, that our soul, our mental state, our thoughts, and our emotional, like our feelings, everything that has to do with how we feel, and our body is somehow, one thing is here, one thing is there, one thing is way up there, and it's all one. And that's why sometimes when you have a physical ailment, it's not actually a physical ailment in the sense of that's the source. The source
can be
in
anything.
some other layer. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so the body, that's why the body is so wise, is because it's connected to all the other layers. And so when you ask the body, it knows, even though your mind is blocked and it's like, no, I'm not going there. The body's like, oh yeah, you are.
The body is wiser than your mind.
Yes. Yeah, that's where we are, or the emotions sometimes. I mean, it's not because we're not intelligent, or it's not because we don't have those feelings. It's because for some reason they're blocked based on an experience, or we're like, that hurt too much. I'm going to avoid that, or put it into my subconscious or something. And the body's like, no, sadly, I can't do that. The body tries its best to buffer. I was just reading up on the brain. I think you can have probably more than 60% brain failure. And that's how much it takes until the brain will actually send signals. Hey, I have a problem, to protect you. So I was just listening up on a guy, fascinating. He's a brain expert. He's done like 10,000s of brain scans. And he was talking about when you get your first brain scan, it's usually shocking because we don't think about our brain. Same way you don't think about your feet until, you hit your toe and you're like, oh, you're like, oh, I'm so grateful I have feet and they work. And it's so painful when one toe doesn't or something, then or something in the foot happens, or fasciitis or whatever that thing is called. It's like, when everything's working, you don't think about it, and the body protects us and tries to stay as functional as possible until it just,
I during my depressions, I was later thinking, I wasn't sick. How did I manage that? You know, the body was just
amazing.
going, and I hadn't severe things. And I thought later I would just mentally and spiritually, I was doing so bad, but my body kept up. You know, it was doing just fine. And
It's
later on, I had some little things physically, but you know, the tears came. You could say 20 years later, the real tears came, and all those 20 years, the tears were hiding somewhere. The tension was somewhere there, you know. And it
yeah,
has to do with my throat chakra. I couldn't speak. You know, I didn't learn to speak. In the sense that my father was always speaking to us. You know, he has 3 daughters, and he wanted to protect us and give him his wisdom. That was nice, but the other side was I didn't learn to use my mind and to speak up. So my throat was rare. There was a, you know, and it helped me by singing. I was always busy with singing and part of the choir. So that gave me some release, but you know, not really on a personal level, you could say. You know, I was hiding all the time. So, but yeah, times are changing now, and you know, therefore I came from far, you could say, in my opinion. So I, yeah, there is nothing strange under the sun for me what people are telling me. So yeah.
I, yeah, I find it so beautiful, which is one reason why I thank you for being so open and sharing your stories. When we give ourselves permission to heal and to go into those depths, and transform and allow whatever's wanting to be looked at and acknowledged and healed, when we allow that,
Yeah.
then we give permission others. By giving ourselves permission, we give others permission, because when you see that, it does something to you. And they've made these amazing discoveries where, I'm not familiar if you know the concept of the Waldorf educational system, the
The what?
Waldorf school, Waldorf
The
school,
water school. Yeah, I know
Waldorf,
water, but not water.
Waldorf school
Oh
from
well,
Rudolf
no.
Steiner. Yeah. So they have something that's called eurythmy, which is very
Yeah,
fascinating. It's a movement that has to do with, yes. So what you're doing is with your body, you express
yeah,
words and poems and things like that. And so there's another version of that called healing eurythmy. My half sister does that. And so what they found out was children who were not speaking due to trauma, for example, who looked at healing eurythmy started to speak. And
yeah,
so when you see something, it does something to you. So that's how we humans, we
yeah.
learn from each other, or we mirror
Yes.
each other. And
Yeah.
when we grow, or when we give ourselves permission, somebody else is like, oh, I think I could do that too.
Yeah, it is so relaxing and comforting when you hear that, you know. I was
Mm,
thinking you remind me on in my first depression, I get a personal guide, and she was saying to me, Jeannie, let yourself be helped. And the
mm,
way she said that to me was really that I decided in her, okay, I'm now stepping away from that strong, always strong, you know, women. And okay, I'm gonna ask now where I am. You know, I was really depressed, so I had to have a lot of difficulty with structure and whatever, you know. So, but that was you always remember those wise words that are really hitting bottom in yourself, and that is, you know, that is so helpful. And yeah, and also another time there was in my second depression, there was a psychologist helping me just in a normal regular healthcare, and she was only 25 and I was at that time 48 or so. So I thought, are you going to help me, girl? You know, I was thinking
mm,
so like that. And then the way she was so attentive to me and asking me about my youth, how my father was. And I thought, my gosh, this is so helping. She was so honest in her attention and in her questions, and making I feel now really again that feeling of, wow, she, by her honest attention and by her honest questions and following me in that, it gave me that feeling of being taken serious again for me as a person, where I am, how simple sometimes questions
Mm,
can be. They are
yeah.
sometimes so important. So, that comes in my mind now, spontaneously. But yeah, you are so right with, yeah, yeah, everybody is
Yeah.
in a certain point of time without judging where you are physically or spiritually, whatever, because spiritually thinking that you are someone, that is also sometimes a blockage in
Mhm.
yourself to come down and say, okay, where am I, so really, so yeah, I
The
have
most
that mindset. I have go through so many things, my children, with all kind of things, so yeah.
there's the most intelligent people are often the most humble in my experience, the ones that I've encountered in person and are aware that we're all one, that we're all connected and we're all in this together, and they are not here to be above anybody else. So the more you understand the concept of humanity, the more you understand that it's not about um, status, it's not about my position or my anything, even though that might be an aspect of how I express myself, which is completely fine. And that's what makes us humans so beautiful, is that we're all as unique as our thumbprint. But it's still just an expression, which doesn't mean we're better or we're above or anything. On the opposite. So when for example, when you encounter people who have problems with, who are like, oh, I don't know, like I've encountered some people who dismiss handicapped people, or don't necessarily like animals because they might leave some hairs on you or something. It's like this disconnect from nature almost, or to the, which is actually it's the disconnect to the variety, the spectrum that we're in. It's not the love for all, it's the love for what what gives me a sense of status, maybe what fits in. So it's not all encompassing, it's exclusive. So so that's actually not love, it's I wouldn't even know what to call it. And I'm not judging here, but it's just the perception of I find myself as well labeling or judging, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, but that's putting
no.
yourself in a box.
Totally, yes, but I'm putting myself in a box. Yes, I'm not putting anybody else in a box. Yes, it's to my detriment. And the more you understand, also something that hit me so much when I realized, and I'd always felt it, but I didn't know how to express it until it was expressed to me, which is we are already living in heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And so when we understand that we all are deserving of love and of the beauty of nature, and that is like when we give ourselves permission, that's why it's so important to have people in your life. That's what I think a really good mentor is there for, a coach,
Yeah.
is to help you give yourself permission.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think a good coach is someone who is not judging, and that is a sort of
Yes.
level that you have to reach, and not on every moment and every second of your life, because that it's learning and learning and learning, to be in that on that high. And with Mercury retrograde, you can be very, okay, what's going on, and you get mad or whatever. But there's
Yeah.
always moments in life. But when you have that opportunity to talk to another person, and you can be a sort of mirror that has no judgment in it, it is helpful in itself. You don't have to say anything. In
Oh,
fact,
it's the
let the
best
other
thing.
let the other client talk, or the other person. It's client is the word now, coaching client, but let the other person talk, and they know. I learned in my study, they know themselves the answers. You don't have to give them.
Mhm.
So this is so fascinating, and so yeah, it makes life more and more easy, and more um, fascinating, and more worthy to yeah. So yeah,
I'm curious. When I pronounce your name, you're like Johnny, right? Johnny.
Jeannie, Jeannie,
Johnny.
like
Johnny.
Like je t'aime, you start with j, not de.
Jeannie.
Jeannie, yes.
Oh, that's a good way to say it. So, how did it happen that you came to America again? How, like, I think I either missed that or I'm
No, no,
curious.
no.
Like, what
I
was
don't
that?
know if I told you already, because I meet so many people and
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know what I tell to people or not anymore.
Yes, no, I'm just
But
curious. Yes.
yeah, no, I had two reasons. In my the first depression I had when I met I met an American guy in Brussels on a course that I was for 10 days for, that was called Universal Energy, because I was having two small kids. I stopped with working because I thought my mom was always working. I am at home with my kids, you know. So, but I wanted to do something. My daughter was 1.5, my son was 3. So I thought, time to go, you know, for some professional change in my life now. And then I thought everything is energy. So I'm going to do maybe Reiki. But at that time, I know a woman that was busy with universal energy. She says that's much more powerful. It's Reiki is so old, it's sort of old, low energy that takes more time. We have now something else. It's taught by Mr. Dong from Vietnam. And I went into those courses. There was a course in Brussels for 10 days, and that was the last level at that time. And I went there and I fell in love with an American guy there. You know, that was not the purpose, but, you know, happens. And that was the catalyst for breaking up my marriage. I went into depression very severe. I went into even psychosis because I was lost, because I thought, my gosh, what's happening? I couldn't, you know, I thought this the end of my life, you know, I don't know where to go. So finally, after a year, I followed a guy in America, and I went to him, you know, sort of out of despair. I left my children who were with friends. The friends were saying, if Jeannie is not healing very quickly from her depression, then we can help out. So my kids were there for safe, the best gift out of heaven at that time. So I just flew to America, and I knew that it was even foggy outside, and I thought I'm going back immediately. But you know, I've ended up with being a year in North Carolina. But that was a bad year. I was 3 times in hospital, at the psychiatrist department. How do you say that? So yeah, that was a hard time for me. That was my baddest year, you could say. But now, since that was in 1999, I was there the whole year, the year that JFK plane crash was. But so I ended up, after my 50s, 10 years ago, I was thinking, I'm going back to North Carolina. I want to be there with my healed body, with my healed mind, and with my healed Jeannie. And I want to revisit America. But there was no real, I couldn't find the guy anymore on internet or whatever. So the next reason why I wanted to go to America was when the lockdowns started worldwide in March 2020. And the virus lockdowns worldwide, that couldn't go in my mind. So I went into research for the first time in my life, what's going on in the world, you know, and then I found I didn't stop. I didn't stop researching, because I find out all those truths, like, you know, I found out what was Thomas Cowan saying. I was finding out what Sasha Stone was telling us. All those truthers I came across, and I asked God, give me please the right information. There's so much, but give me the right one. So The Fall of the Cabal from Jeannette Ossebaard, our own Dutch hero. She made a whole documentaries. So, and I didn't stop. So I knew America is important. So I have now another reason to go there. And via Telegram, I came in contact with Adriana from St. Louis, and she invited me by a private talk. She said, when you want to come to America, come to me. You know,
Wow.
you can start here. So the first week that the borders were open for us Europeans, that Biden opened the border, that was 8th of November. The 11th of November, 2021, I
Ooh.
was on Chicago airport, and the next day I took a 5-hour train to St. Louis, and I joined Adriana there. I bought a car. I had 3 months of time, and I thought, okay, after a month, St. Louis, I felt confident to travel with my car. And I drove to North Carolina. And after 2 weeks there, remembering everything again was very nice. I went to Florida. I wanted to see Mar-a-Lago. So I had a time. So, and then after 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, Florida, I went to a Trump rally in Arizona because I wanted to join a Trump rally, and I happened to be in Florence, Arizona. So I can do that. 4 days driving from Florida to Arizona. So, and there I met my friends forever, John and Shirley from Eloy. And I decided to come back again for another 3 months. I can stay only for 3 months because I didn't make a visa. So I travel on my ESTA form. But, I'm now for the 4th time here, and I didn't stop traveling. I didn't stop looking around. I didn't stop meeting great people. I had an Airbnb life, but I was so happy to know that. And and then in May in the Netherlands, before I went to think of, okay, I'm now gonna travel really to America. I decided, I had a 1-hour burst of tears out of my eyes when I realized that I wanted to be in America when the big change was coming. Mm-hmm. I wanted to celebrate that with you guys in America. And there was that realizing that made me cry for an hour. It didn't stop. I thought, okay, this is important for me then. Wow. So that was the reason that I really came to here, that I, and I felt at home. That was not on my first mind that I would feel at home, but it happened to be. So I feel at home in the Netherlands and I feel home in the States. But, it's amazing how it goes. Yeah.
Why do you feel that America is so important for the change? What is it, in your opinion, that makes America so be in that position? Or what is it in America for you?
Now, the word America, what I know sometimes too less details, because when you can go into details, whatever, every rabbit hole, you know details more and more. But my feeling is that America, the word, is just not America like a country or the States or a continent, but America is more to it. The word America is something like, has to do with freedom or whatever, or no boundaries, or something is in that word. So it's not the word America so much as the 50 states, but there's more to that word. But also, Donald J. Trump, JFK Jr., and the whole Q team, that is the core. They are somewhere here, and they are presenting now, and of course Russia with Putin, but they are presenting now going to a better world finally, after so many thousand years. So, and then I heard from another wise woman that she says, oh, are you going to America? In America is everything. And then I went into that, and then I discovered there are pyramids buried somewhere in America too. So I found out that America is not that fast, winning, trashy country. No, there's more to it, and I was reading, when I was a kid, I was reading cowboy books. Okay, I don't know why. I love cowboy. There was in the Netherlands a whole series of books about a cowboy with an Indian, and I loved it. I don't know, so I had that vibe in me. My son is now even living in Chicago with his wife. He has that America feeling too. Independent, you could say, on 3D level for me. But yeah, there's something going on with America and my vibe and my son's vibe. So yeah, just, I knew I have to be here. And I'm 60. I'm ready to go for my second youth or third youth to live another life, and to finally be able to connect with people, what I always was fearful of. So I can now be myself,
Are you planning to stay here?
I want to share my wisdom. I want to share my everything, doesn't matter what I can share, I will share with you. So, and I
Are-
learned to set my boundaries in that. So, when people want to take advantage of me or trick me or whatever, I was tricked by some people last year here in America, and it's not nice to, but it makes you more aware of that there are all kind of people. So yeah.
Yes, very, very colorful country. Are you staying here now?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I cannot say that on the internet here, but
Okay.
I'm staying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm staying. I was, I found because I drove to Phoenix to Tanner Talk on that day that I was sitting next to Tanner in the Maricopa County meeting. Later on, we went all to the Memorial Park, and we had a beautiful sunny meeting with all those people there, and they were talking and talking. And so I met some friends there, and I met Julie. She invited me. Do you have a stay for the night? I said no. Last night I slept in my car. So and she said I have a spare room. Now that happens to be now my sort of base. She and I are now roommates, and she was looking for a roommate. She asked God for a roommate. So yeah, that wasn't for her also a nice meeting. Yeah, meeting me. So, and I was not really looking for to live somewhere, but it felt so good that I thought, yeah, I happen to be here. So yeah, I'm stuck here now, and I don't know for how long. I go every day with the flow, but the calmness I have about being here and having the opportunity to do what I do now with you, just relaxed, talking about a new connection in a direction that I feel called to. So tell me more about you and you healing, because you came out of your software uh, area, and now you're more into the healing. So what is that story,
Um,
if you may?
yes, of course. Well, it's interesting. I want to touch on what you just said
Okay.
with
Yeah.
America, because I was in Germany for a very long time, and I have a lot of things that you said I can relate to very much. I also had a similar experience when I separated from the father of my son. It also spiraled me into, I wouldn't say a depression, but a crisis, a complete crisis, like an absolute meltdown. And to the point where I was asking myself, like, I can't live like this. And so I think that was something very, very deep down within me that cracked me open. And at that time, I had already been doing personal development. I had been personal growth. I was working with coaches and mentors to resolve things that I also had, which also what you said about your father, he spoke for you girls. I was a single child to my mother, but my father had 6 other children, but it was just the dominance that he had. Most of us were girls. So he was a very dominant, very controlling, very, also very choleric personality. And so my voice was very, very
Yeah. Yeah.
not developed. I had a big inner voice, but a very small outer voice. And so there was no balance within me in terms of how, and that caused for a lot of tension within me. I had to realize that I had to develop the outer voice for myself to be able to express myself. Because I'm like, I know I have so much to do and to say, but I don't know how. I just can't. I open my mouth and like, like squeaky sounds come out. I was like,
Yeah.
I just ridiculous. So I had to develop that. And it was a lot of little things that happened to me where I was confronted with a situation that I had to make a choice for myself, and what do I actually want? And that was one of the experiences I had where when I separated from him, I was tearing our family apart from that was just my feeling. And I'm like, I'm the one tearing the family apart. There's nothing actually that anybody could see wrong.
Yeah.
But I knew my soul was going to die if I stayed with this person, because he had narcissistic traits. And I'm not a psychologist, but all I'm going to say is narcissistic traits. And that paired up with who I would have been detrimental to me. And so that was probably the darkest time of my life, I think, when I went through that, and then understanding I'm actually standing up for myself. Who is self? Who is Sophia? Like, what it was, that was profound. And I thankfully had a friend back then. She's probably one of the most remarkable, if not the most remarkable healer I've ever met in my life. She's so powerful. And she did a practice with or an exercise with me back then. She was able, and I'm like, I've experienced some really amazing things, but imagine we're sitting at a lake. It's a swimming lake. Our kids were playing and swimming. And we're sitting in 2 chairs and we're talking about what was happening in my life. And I said, I can't wrap my mind around, why can't I make this work? Why can't I make this relationship work? We were not married. I had canceled my engagement, and I'm like, okay, for some reason, can I restart this whole thing? Whatever. So she said, okay, I have one question. Do you want me, because I can see your energies are so different. Would you let me put you into his energy field? I'll shift you into his energy field so you feel who he is. So, and I'm like, is that even possible? I had no idea what was going to happen to me. So she's like, yes, okay. And about a minute later, I suddenly, like, this veil fell onto me, and it was heavy, and it was, I almost had this feeling like as if I was falling down, and everything became heavy, and I felt this sense of despair and negativity, and just like, oh, everything is like strenuous, and everything is like, all the fun was sucked out of my life, like the joy, the fun, the excitement, the lightness was taken out of me. I look at her, I'm like, did you just do that? Am I in his energy field? And it was uncomfortable. And she said, yes. And I said, oh my God, no wonder. There was such a discrepancy between who I was, and everything clicked in that moment, because I realized whenever I was working on a project that I was very passionate about. And when I brought that home, I was happy. I was passionate. I came home from a day's work, and I'm like, I'm pumped, right? And it made him aggressive, because he was unhappy and
Yeah.
I was happy, and he couldn't stand it. And so he did everything he could to sabotage my happiness and pull me and crash me down onto the ground. And if he had to say mean things, and he knew which buttons to push. I'm pretty much an open book. So he's like, I know what buttons to push. And if he had to use my son. So that's when I like, okay, all of this makes sense. It didn't make it easier, but I mean, in a sense of no emotions, but
but you made a decision, I guess.
Yes. I was able to process the whole thing better. And that was amazing. And I'm like, how powerful, like you can't, now we're starting, so many people are waking up and starting to understand the power of energies, which is, something we were talking on Stephen Tenner's show, was frequency healing, energy healing. Now we're starting to understand that, even on a physical, on the scientific medical level. But back then I had no idea that was possible. So it was just the journey of understanding the power of being able to be guided by somebody who knows what they're doing and can help you. And it just accelerates the process. If I don't know what would have happened to me. There's more to say to that story of what she did with me. But if I hadn't had anybody, I don't know where I'd be right now.
Yeah, me either. I had all the time nice people around me who put me just on that. It is hard when you are in crisis or depression and feeling stuck. You need someone, and someone. And sometimes you have to have really being stuck, the experience being stuck for long. You cannot say, oh, I feel stuck, I have to go out. No, sometimes people are really questioning or asking for help if they have suffered enough. It's not suffering, it's suffered enough. that they
Yeah.
decide to want to go out,
Enough
because
is enough.
otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah, it's enough. Enough is enough. Okay. Until then, they don't change. They don't have a real question for help. So I experienced that myself. I was long in depression because I was convinced that I was the baddest woman and the baddest person in the world. And I felt guilty that food was made for me. I didn't deserve that, but yeah, I was hungry, so I eat it. I felt guilty. I felt as a vampire, many years. So to decide to go out of that was like that woman who was saying, let yourself be helped, or later that woman that was really putting interest in me, and I took myself more serious and my past, because my past, I wasn't, that was not interesting. I was out of a village. I was, there was nothing. My past was nothing. But now I know better. And now I know I'm honoring my own village. I'm honoring where I'm coming from. I'm honoring everybody around me in my family, although they are saying you're in a sect with Trump,
Oh,
but that's another story.
I got a message from a former, like a really, really good friend. And she was also saying that she's concerned for my well-being because she saw I was in California at the Truther event, and I had been invited there to speak about my launch of my company. And she said, I'm afraid for your well-being, and I feel like you're part of a sect. And I didn't even respond because I felt like anything I say will be another trigger for her.
Yeah.
And there were so many things that I was afraid for her too, because I had experienced her. I'm for sure not going to say her name, but I had experienced her getting the
Yeah.
that's, I'm just not saying it because it's,
The
if
needle.
we put it
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah. But, and she was pregnant, and then she had her child. And then I think she got another one. And there was this profound experience that she had with her baby. And I said, this is one of the hardest things, is to watch somebody you love. You can't talk to them a lot. I was talking to my son about this, just about the fact that it was so hard to have open conversations with her. And he said, well, Mom, and he just turned 12, but he said,
Yeah.
Mom, with some people, you can just talk about one color. You can't talk about all the colors.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so just stick to one color with her, and be thankful for that. And like, where did your wisdom come from? And so I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. But I still had to, because she had questions and I had the answer, but she didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So she was having problems with her baby. It was very clear why. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, so, you have that, that also that divide of where we are, and we're in some ways so far ahead in terms of investigative work. And
Yeah.
we see we have so many answers already to questions that are not even being asked. So
Yes,
so
but
many people.
but we are daring to question things. And
Yes.
when you are full of fear, you want to be surrounded by the things you know, because otherwise you think everything is falling apart. And when you cannot handle that feeling that things are changing, and that things are not that secure, or that's how do you say that? That known anymore, what you know. Then, and if you cannot question that, then you're stuck. But a lot of people are now in that Stockholm syndrome or whatever, and they're there.
And then we come back to what we were talking before about the judgment. I still love her. I really love her. And I hope for the day where we can rebalance our friendship. And until then, I'm just within myself, I'm going to hold that friendship in a very special place, in case it's possible that we can revive that. But it's basically, I feel like it's out of my hand. So it's not in my hand anymore if that is possible or not. I'm just going to do what I can to maintain, and whatever happens, and when we reconnect, however whatever she wants, whatever she's willing to bring. Yes, we'll see. I don't know, but that's basically all I can do. I have family members too who are very shut down. They've shut down to their own abilities, their own source of power, and their own resources. And all we can be is we can be the best possible example for ourselves, and whoever's inspired by that, fantastic. And we all have a right timing. If I remember so many times where I got a suggestion from somebody, you have to look at this video, you have to look at that person, go check this person out. I'm like, no, it's not for me, because it was not the right time. And that's perfect. Yeah. So
and maybe later, and maybe never.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so true. Coming back then to like my own, like who I am, this healing and technology for me has always been one. So I am actually since 2009, when I started developing software on my own, I had been in and out of startups of all sizes and formats, but it was all in and around the entertainment, the marketing, the media, the online communication area. So it was TV, it was internet, it was film. And so I started off really in being pulled into startups, and then experiencing fast growth, slow growth, company crashes, successful launches. I was part of one of the most successful startups I think I've ever heard of. They exploded basically in 9 months, and were able to grow from really basically maybe from 100 people to 250,000 in 9 months, active partners of the company. And that was, so there were so many different experiences. 2009, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna start my own company. And first of all, really out of wanting to make a difference, like always understanding that complaining really doesn't make sense. If you want to see change, then what are you doing to be part of that in a constructive way versus complaining? Because if you really look at it, you're like, where's complaining going to get me? I keep on taking this. I have so many different analogies, but there's this mirror effect where you look in the mirror and you look at your image, and this is basically where we're coming from, which is the understanding. I look at my image in the mirror and I'm like, well, I'm going to wait until that image of me smiles, which will give me permission to smile. Where's that going to take us? So we're waiting for our outer reality to mirror back something that then we are allowing ourselves to be. And that's a trick. That's not how reality works, because reality, we are the creators. And so when we understand that, we have to smile first, and then you look in the mirror like, hey, Sophia's smiling back at me. Yeah, but I knew that already, but it's nice to see. So and that's just, it's something.
We are not being taught on school like this, that life is working like that.
No.
So
and it's like, you just have to look at yourself in the mirror, and then you have that example, and you're like, so it's so simple. Life is so simple. But when we start to understand how simple it is, then we can make it work for us versus against us. And nothing's working against us. Anyways,
I follow you totally.
Fast forward then to I developed a product that was too far advanced.
Yeah.
It's still in stealth mode. It hasn't launched yet. It was a social network that allows for natural interaction, communication as we do it offline. So when
Oh,
we go to when we go to platforms, networks, be it Facebook, Twitter, like all of the platforms, they function off of the same architectural principle of reducing us in a way where how we communicate and interact. And I'm not talking
yeah,
about the manipulative algorithms. I'm just talking about the
yeah,
architecture of how a profile setup is
yeah,
designed, which
yeah.
is not honoring all of the facets of who we are. It
Okay.
reduces us to
Yeah.
a certain facet that we project outward, where we have to
Yeah.
narrow ourselves down to this one little sliver of ourselves, and that's what we show online. And that can't be real. It has to be fake, because it the way that we're represented is put into I've never described it like this before, but it is put into the format of a profile that has to adhere to all of the people we're connected to. And so we have to be we actually turn into manipulators because of our own image, because we have to figure out, how do I market myself so I become the most pleasing to everybody I'm connected to, my coworkers, my friends, my family, my whatever, people who have connected to randomly at a coffee shop, to the people I share my hobby with. And so I need to portray myself that is most pleasing to all of these groups, because the platform is designed to reward you if you are pleasing. So
Yeah, that's
how do
because
you,
of, yeah, but that's because of the likes.
yes, for example, but not only, the whole architecture of the platform is designed that way, because then you become actually a product of status,
Mhm.
and you move away from who you actually are, and it's or you're reduced to a very
Yeah.
superficial version of who you are.
Yes. It's a
And
very, you know. Mhm.
yeah, so it's, all this judgment about social media and people putting up a fake image. I'm like, no, nobody's actually fake. We're all real. It's just we're not supported in the process of authenticity and being natural online. So if you look at how we interact and how we communicate online, if we were able to take the way we are offline online, then it would be so much more helpful. So I said, okay, I'm going to set out and I'm going to design a social network that is representative of that. And then I was approached by a professor in Germany, and then Silicon Valley experts, who said, you cannot launch. You're going to be crushed, sued, the platform, the features are going to be taken away, and they're going to be swallowed up by whatever,
Wow.
big tech.
So they gave you a serious answer.
They gave me a warning, and they said, not because they were going to do it, but they said, you're too far ahead of your time. You need to wait until the time is right to launch this, because big tech is crushing everything that is not representative of how they work. They're too powerful.
Yeah.
So
Okay. But who was giving you the answer? Like you're ahead of time, because there must be people who are aware of how big tech is running the show.
yeah, so in so these people in Silicon Valley were the ones I actually pulled in to give me an assessment of the platform. And then this trend professor in Germany, he was a trend predictor and professor, and he said, you have actually, you're a part of a solution that we need, because we have this beautiful diamond called the internet, but we have no structure. We have information floating around everywhere, but we have, if we don't learn how to structure information, then we're going to have a really hard time moving forward, because if there's no structure,
Yeah.
there's a
Cannot
problem.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So he said, you've managed to create something that would allow for that, but you can't do it yet because people, people are not there yet because they're still figuring out what the web is. They're not, it's too advanced. And so anyways, the competition was too big in terms of social networks. And so I said, okay, I'll rename it into a goodwill platform that had to do with supporting charities and stuff. But I said, well, I'm actually distorting my platform if I do that. But it gave me additional ideas that I built into it. And then anyway, so long story short, hasn't launched yet. 2017, I'm like, okay, game on, next project, which maybe one day both will merge. But next project is, we have all these, I wouldn't be here if doing what I'm doing today, being who I am, if it hadn't been for special people in my life helping me. So what is out there actually that supports people in their process of personal growth? And how easy is it to find somebody? And I figured it's really hard. It's really hard. There's no platform out there that is global and would support how I see, like a platform that I envision would help connect people the way I would like to be connected, without advertisement, without manipulative tactics, etc. So that's why I came up with the idea of Find Your Mentor. I think I was born with the ability to understand how to translate, let's say, our natural ways of interaction into software. I'm not a programmer and I'm not a designer, but I've been able to guide designers into understanding how to, let's say, take elements of sacred geometry, the golden ratio, understanding how that works, which is how actually, well, these big platforms know about these things. That's how they design, they know how to incorporate the golden ratio into, let's say the
programs,
profile, let's say the Facebook profile, and where psychologically, where the eyes go first when you go into a website is where the eyes go based on how your left and your right brain function. And so there's so many things that when you dive into the psychology of a human being, and then you design software, you start to understand the responsibility, the ethical responsibility that you have as an entrepreneur in designing anything.
Yeah.
Even a chair.
Wow.
If you design a chair, you are actually you are manipulating the way a person sits.
Yeah.
So are you sitting like this? Are you sitting like this? Is it comfortable? Can you put your arms up? Is it making you straighter? And so you actually, anything you design and create is either in support of a human being, or it's going to disempower a human being. And so we're coming out of these dark times, and we have a huge shift as well with when it comes to technology. There's nothing in history that has influenced us so much as the internet and technology.
Yeah.
But it's part of us.
Yeah.
We are technology as well. We're just organic technology.
Yeah.
So it's
we throw away our computers in the future.
Well, I believe, and so this is something that I came across a while back. I even think it was an Aborigine talking, and it was about the now we're so connected with people in the world through the web, and it's sharpening our telepathic abilities. And so it's actually us designing software, and if we do it intelligently, it's speeding up the process of us activating our the senses that we haven't practiced yet enough. For example, the telepathic senses. But it's
sorry, what did you say?
For example, our telepathic senses.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just speeding up our awakening process. Yeah. And it's nothing we have to be fearful of. And this technology is wonderful if we understand that if we need to take the responsibility of how to design it. And it's like knowledge is power. When you start understanding what you're doing and how much power you have, the fear goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that you're learning not to judge yourself about that you don't know something. I was always fearing that someone was judging me, that I didn't know something, so I was
I
pretending.
probably still have that. I still have that, because there's always somebody who knows more than you.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yep.
okay.
Absolutely.
Like you are telling me now things that are new for me, but I'm working in my whole system here. I'm getting happy from your explaining things, because I think, wow, this is nice, because this is working towards a natural telepathy thing, that we are gonna be able to do it again, and if you have nice designs outside of you, with Telegram was my connection to America, that's why I'm here, because of Telegram. If Telegram doesn't exist with voice chats, so all these things, and that you explained, you have even, more out of the box, natural, authentic communication on online level. Yeah, that makes us aware of that we can do finally, maybe without, and just, tune in our minds without having any, thing put in your brain from
Oh,
Microsoft.
we're so much more powerful,
Yeah,
than any technology can ever be. They were doing
it's
tests.
reminding us, I guess, what you are doing now. It will remind us of the
Like
possibility.
if you just think of the concept of cell memory. What does that mean? Does that mean a cell is a chip and you can store information in a cell? Is that the same thing as a chip on a computer? Right? So if you think about cell memory, and we carry down knowledge through, like, we have, what's the concept of ancestral baggage? Where does that come from? Where is that stored? And how different is that from a computer? It's the same thing, but it's stored in a cell of us that we can actually change. We can transform that information, which is, now we come back to the Healy.
Yeah.
We have a little tiny machine that is now able to read what's kind of cell information wants to be revealed and released. We're at a point, we're in the future of medicine. We're in the future of, they're saying that the next 5 years will be as significant as the past 1,000 years for human development. And he's like, what is going on? No wonder we're confused. But coming back
and happy.
Yes, totally. I'm so excited. But coming back to being surrounded by people who are greater than I am, like in knowledge and abilities, I think I chose to develop a platform that is allowing me to be in and around people where you say you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be a value for them, right? But it just so happens that through this process, I find myself in and around people who know so much more and are giving so much value. And every experience is something that also is a gift to me, because it'll either I can be a listener and maybe a support for somebody, or I hear a story that shifts me and opens up my eyes to a different way of looking at something, where I come back to developing my social network, which is we are so multifaceted, and we have so many different angles to who we are, and many of those facets we haven't dared to look at yet, or we haven't uncovered. Or
it was not in your in your reach yet, but there's so much more to explore. And that is life, exploring.
It is. It's an adventure, and it should be fun, and we should enjoy it. And the same thing, I've worked with so many people and noticed that in my process of helping brands develop, I also have an ability to help entrepreneurs and companies rebrand or restructure their marketing in terms of how closing the gap between who they are and how they're perceived from outside. So, but in a way that where the entrepreneur, if the founder of the company, the brand, is not fully connected, emotionally connected to their own company and their project and their brand. And it starts with how you represent yourself online, with colors, with, if you have a logo, with your name, what is that interconnection that you have? Because that your energy is what will permeate, which is the frequency, right? That's something that people will connect to on a frequency level that they might not even be aware of. And that is also something that I experience online on social networks, where we are stronger than the algorithms. We're stronger than technology because we designed it. That's why our frequency and our energies are stronger. So I've seen manipulation happen on the platforms where, they're manipulating us. And I said, you haven't discovered yet how powerful you are, because you can actually manipulate the algorithms too. And that's something, when we understand how that we can actually do that, we lose our fear of, the big bad Facebook. And I help clients understand, I did help clients understand how that works, and to get excited again about social media and interaction. And when we go online, we're so afraid of, oh my God, now I have to be somebody that somebody else will want to see. So I always describe it very simply, and go to the bakery and buy bread, and then come back and tell me about your experience. When you walked in, did you have a nice conversation? Were you nice to the bakery woman or the salesperson? Did you think about what you looked like? Like, what was that? And then it sounds so profane, but when you think about doing that online and interacting the same way online, you suddenly lose that sense of, I have to be somebody, or I have to portray an image out there. I am just who I am. And if I walk into the bakery, or I show myself on, like now, online, it's the same thing, because it's the same me. I shouldn't be different. So the same way, why would I put on a different face? So it's kind of getting us back into a natural state of being online, where we lose the fear of the expectations of others, because they will not have any expectations if we are comfortable in being who we are. Nobody will question that. And it'll give them permission to be themselves too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was that Mandela or someone else?
Probably. I know.
There was Charlie Chaplin maybe, but there is a lot of worthiness in that you can be just authentic. And you were saying manipulating, but the word manipulating is a sort of, for me, it's just, it's influencing people, but everything is influencing us, you could say, because it's life, we are connected and everything is influencing, but the intentions behind it make it
thank you.
Make it manipulative, or, just broadcasting some love and compassion and, joy. So manipulative is that you are wanting something to be happening, like, I want to have money from you, or I want to have that 1,000 likes or million likes from you. I don't know, but that is for
intention.
Me. It's for me not that you cannot do, putting out some advice or whatever, but it's the intention behind it, what makes it manipulative, or just life and making the best of ourselves, including you and me. That's the thing for me.
It totally. And I think what you just said was the intention. I mean, a child that wants milk from its mother, baby who wants milk from its mother, is going to manipulate the mother by crying. So it's not the manipulation so much, it's really the intention with which, what is behind them.
Yeah, what do you need? I had to acknowledge myself and affirm myself, whatever, how do you say that in English, that I have needs,
Yeah.
in the Enneagram, you could say when I started my journey to study the Enneagram and being a coach, I was studying with on that level with, okay, I'm now here, and my teacher was testing me like I am that 2. The number 2 is the helper in the Enneagram. You have nine types of personalities, you could say. That's the superficial level in Enneagram. So I was at that time the 2, because the 2, the helper, if he is not on the highest level of consciousness, he wants to help because then he is being appreciated by another. Okay, but the helpers that are not aware of themselves fully, they will help and they forget their own needs because they want to help others until they don't know that they're lacking of health, or they're stressed out because they want to help, and so they don't care about themselves. They see the needs in others but not in themselves so much. Mm-hmm. So when you get more if you are born as a 2, as a helper, then you have to learn that your needs have to met first, and you have to acknowledge that you have needs. We are born in a body, so we have needs.
But is it so much that you're born a helper, or do you turn into a helper based on experiences you make?
I was not born as a 2, as a helper, but I get that jacket on. I had more jackets on. I had a 4 and a 7 and the 2, the helper I had. That was my last jacket I put on, because after my sort of certain period of time when I was a yoga teacher and I was out of society, because I couldn't handle society, so I withdraw myself in that yoga, and I was living like a hermit. Yoga was everything, so I was distracted from society a little bit. But when I had to go out again in society, I put that jacket on from the helper, because I thought, when I can help people, then I'm doing something. So, but that was not my real born. I am a 9. I am a mediator. So, but I left that when I left the 9 when I was, and that's a little example how my coaching study works. That's when I went to school at 6 years old, I was pushed in a system that I couldn't get around in my mind what I learned, or what, so I turned from my mediator, my loving sort of, but also that my core business, to a 5. That was the I don't know the word in English. 5 waarnemer is the.
What is it in your language?
That's a thinker. That's the thinker. He wants to have knowledge, and that is the. Oh my gosh. I have to go to the words in English, because
I can help you if you say it in.
It's the waarnemer. It's the
waarnemer. It's the perceiver.
Yes, I think so. Maybe it's the word in English than perceiver. Yeah.
Perception.
So that's putting you into knowledge. So you want to know everything. I was a really serious child, wanting to know. I want to be the best of the class, and I get there, and So you put on that, and later on, when I was 18 and going out of my village and study in Eindhoven, the city of light, in the south of the Netherlands, and I thought, I want to be more free. I felt so shy, and so I was hating myself for that. So I thought, okay, a new city where I'm gonna study my study, and they don't know how shy I am. So I put on my jacket from the 7, and the 7 is the party goer. How do you can say
it in the way what is the
7 is no, 6 is loyalist, 7 the 8 is the boss, and the 7 is the, oh my gosh. It's too long ago. I was thinking yesterday, I had to go to that knowledge again, Okay, but that's more the one that is the personality that is saying, okay, life is a joy, I'm partying, looking from the bright side, and I was doing that. So I had that 7 for several years, and then I went into the 4 because I went into that yoga thing, and I became that, that very sensual, that very emotional. And then I felt also that deep depression sort of raising up in myself, but the 4 is very loving. I will search for the words. I will, next time when we meet, I have them ready. But, but anyway, so within the coaching, when I started as that helper, and I realized, my gosh, yeah, I don't know what I like, what I need. So, and then my teacher had in one session, he puts me back to my 9, and he said, and in that session, he pointed out where my traumas were, where my decisions lie. He could, what I now just told you, at 6 years old, I did that. That was because he could, with the body testing, he could figure that out. He didn't know anything about me yet at that time. So that's not necessary at all. You don't need stories. You don't need to tell me stories. And that is so much nicer even. Your body, the other person's body is telling you what you need or where you're stuck or what you can do. If you want, it's up to you. But I can tell you things. And the clients that I had in that year that I took clients, they were helped very well. And they were so uplifted because they get really into their power, and there will come tears or not, or there will be revelations. And you can even test when the client has to come back. Is that 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Every time there are things touched in yourself that gives you a lot of upheaval again, or not, or just happiness. I don't know, but there are things happening inside. You want to get more pure to yourself, because that's life, to become pure and what we are in essence, that we want to go back to that, and if we are too much stuck in fear or what other people will say about you, then you're going nowhere, or even putting on other jackets, so.
That's beautiful. I have actually a Q for quintessence tattooed onto my arm. So I understand. So can you work online or is it better offline?
Yeah. No, I because my last client, she was not able to do the muscle test with me, so I thought, okay, God, can I do it myself? That I test my body for her, and I figured out it worked. So that's nice too. So I trust totally my own body. And now I can only say, okay, I test now for her or for him, and I can do that. So I can work online. That's not a problem.
I work with a woman who does that too, and it works perfectly fine. She has the most amazing results. And so I totally can relate to that. That's absolutely amazing. How can anybody, I just noticed we're like almost at 3, and I have I'm a little devastated, but I have a meeting coming up. I wanted to ask, I would love to continue this conversation with you, but I wanted to ask, how can anybody contact you?
Okay. You're ahead of the time for me now, because I was yesterday thinking, because 7 years ago I became a coach. I thought I have to be somewhere visible. I'm not ready yet for a website. I don't feel that way. So, but I started my own company. I'm in the Netherlands. I have my own company. I changed the name 5 years ago to an English name, because I thought I have to be prepared for the future somewhere. So, so I have my own company that I can use whatever now, but the online thing where you can find me yet is LinkedIn. I have a profile on there, but I thought, okay, I have to update myself. Yesterday, I was really thinking, I have to make it to English. I have to make, that I'm available as coach. It's on there, but all in Dutch. So I have to go and update that. But I thought, okay, I will wait on this appointment with you, because I knew that through you, the next steps for me, I can do everything, but I think you are so wise in this sense, and you are inviting me on that findyourmentor.com website. So I thought, okay, I'm going to talk with you. What is the best step to go? Because I have nothing really available. I have my American phone number, so I bought that also when I
An
was
email
traveling.
address.
And I have my email address, my American number, phone number, and
And it may be a
my
Facebook profile for somebody
oh,
who's on
yeah,
Facebook.
but if I have to go to Facebook again, I quit it
Oh,
in.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I quit. I had for 10 years Facebook, and the last 5 years were undercover because it didn't bring me anything. And
Yes. Well, whatever you have, like it could even be, I also had set up a Telegram. You can set up a Telegram profile with a link and then you can share that. But
yeah,
if
I
you
think
have,
I'm going there. I
yeah,
don't want to go on Facebook because that's
but
another thing. But Telegram, I'm all the time, every day on Telegram, and
perfect.
I didn't think of my own channel yet. So
Like we can talk about that another time, and I can show you how I set up mine, and then you can see if you like that.
yeah,
But if you have an email address, then that's perfect. I think you sent it to me. I'm not sure, so I could
yeah,
post.
I sent it to you because of the Zoom link now. So
Exactly, perfect. So that if you want, I can just share, if you're okay with us sharing this video online, I would put it on my, especially on my private YouTube channel. And if you like also on the Find Your Mentor channel, I just think this is remarkable. It's something that people will take a lot of knowledge from. And then I'll just add your email address if you like.
yeah, you're perfectly fine because I'm open for my new future. I left my administration now, hopefully, now not hopefully, but I think for this lifetime, it's done now for me.
Mhm.
So I'm open for everything, and I didn't want to go for anything else that makes me really happy.
Mhm.
And this, what you do with me now, that makes me really happy because finally
Well,
I can coach. My book, I told you that I wrote a book for my children that has to be ended first. That ended in October, last October. So yeah, everything is now open for me to go on that level that I really want to. Yeah, what I feel that I have to do here in the world.
fantastic.
And that coaching, that helping people, and on a platform where you are, I have totally trusted that. So
Well, I feel honored that I'm part of you kind of like opening up again to everybody. And I always believe the right person um will know exactly, um I mean, if you, when you see somebody, it's you understand immediately if you're supposed to connect or not. And so it's not up to us. It's really, we're just giving out to the universe for whoever feels like they resonate with you. And then, that's that's really what I wanted. Um, that's where I love to come in and just connect, to be the bridge. Basically, that's what Find Your Mentor is. But until we're launched, that's just that's who I
yeah,
am. Yeah.
yeah, but that's perfect. I knew it that it would be, such yeah, I feel it as a sort of very nice soul connection or so, but sort of natural connection
Mm.
between us. And yeah, so I'm honored by you that you
Well,
are so looking forward to our meetings. And yeah, that is helping me to know that I'm on the good spot, that I'm on track with what I've been asked now to do without fear anymore. So and I am doing now something that I never did before, online Zoom, and just put it all
yes.
I don't mind anymore. I'm not dressed up what I maybe should have done, but okay, that's fine.
Well, I think those times have changed because we're like, now everything is moved into home office. I was talking to an entrepreneur and he's like, I don't understand anymore. I'm still dressed in my suit and my tie, but nobody else is. Everybody's sitting there, like CEOs are sitting there in their hoodie, eating their soup in front of like when they come onto Zoom and they're eating their soup in their hoodie, and they used to be in a suit and tie. I don't know how to cope with this. And I said, just get comfy, just get comfortable. Like everybody knows now we're probably in our living room. There's been so many funny videos out there of an entrepreneur, getting up, and then you see he has his nice iron shirt on, but he's sitting there in his boxer shorts. Like, whatever. It's like, let's just all get real with each other.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I decided to go here in my own bedroom because, downstairs my roommate can be there. And I thought I'm not wanna get interrupted.
Yes.
So, and that's the thing only. And the light, I was thinking, oh, it's enough light, but that's it. That more that I didn't do. So, but it's okay. We can finish now for now, I guess, because you have
Yes,
your
yes,
next
I would love to
appointment.
continue.
Yeah, me too. I feel that I'm not ready, or we are not ready with our
Yeah,
talk.
finished. Yeah.
Okay, finished. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
finished. Okay, that's better English.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Yes.
Okay,
Well, thank you
yeah.
so much,
Yeah.
Jeannie, for your time, and also for reaching out. I'm finally, even though we have Mercury retrograde, but you can see we made it happen anyway.
Yes, we made it.
Okay.
And that's even more powerful, I guess. So
It's true. Yeah, we didn't let ourselves be thrown off.
no, I do that never. I am aware of the stars where they are a little bit, but I will never. Also, the weather, it's all okay with me.
Yeah. Well, if we go more with the flow, then
Yes.
we go with it. It's like being water, not
Don't have to force anything.
yes, and then it works out.
Yep.
Okay, well, have a beautiful day. We're in contact anyway.
Yeah,
And
let's contact again.
I'll send you the link as soon as I've uploaded it. I'll send you the link, and then we'll just arrange a next time. And I really look forward to our further communication now that now that we've had this conversation. There's so much more that has opened up for me. So I think we're gonna
Wow.
there's more I think we're gonna be able to talk about.
I think I'm sure.
Okay, well, thank you. Have a
Thank
beautiful
you so
day.
much, Sophia. And I'm really honored, and I'm very happy with this, how it goes now.
Yes, and any further questions you have also with the Healy, which is completely, that's a whole dynamic for itself that just happened, which has nothing to do with Find Your Mentor, except for where it connects is within me, which has to do with health and technology. And so both are the same, but completely different things.
Yes. And can you shortly tell me now about the Healy? Where can I now go for a little bit more reading myself into the Healy? Because I really
I have a video that I'd like to share with you. I'll share in Telegram. I'll send you a video, and it's about an hour long, but it really is very helpful in understanding what is it called? Because I was sending it yesterday to
perfect, because I'm really interested in the Healy. I was for 5, 6, 7 years ago, so I was hanging on a computer like that, but it was a big thing, and now it's just the Healy. But it's perfect that it.
I'm just looking for that video that I actually had sent it to Stephen here. I'll have it in a minute. What was the name of it?
How is Stephen doing, by the way?
I think he's fine. I think he's visiting Brent right now in.
Yeah, he is there.
Yeah. Oh, here. So it's called Biohacking with Frequencies. I'll send you that link right now.
Okay, perfect.
Here, Johnny. Here we go. And then,
thanks. And a shout out to Telegram, because it makes my life.
I love Telegram. I love Telegram. And I think it's the best, most stable design chat app out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do the most important things you can do there. Yeah.
I did a workshop on Telegram that astonished so many people because they didn't know about all the things you can do. You can basically use it a little bit like a social.
Can I find it, or can you send it, or where is that?
It's in German. I would have to do it in English.
I'm Germany. I can follow German.
Then I'll just have to see if I can dig it up. I have it stored somewhere.
Don't make a big deal of it.
It's stored somewhere. I just need to dig it up. It's and then
if you want to do that,
yeah.
Then I can use in maybe Telegram more also for my future connecting with people on that
Telegram workshop. I have I did it before I came here, so that must have been June, July or something. It's probably even on, it's stored somewhere. I had advertised it on my profile. So I'll find out the date, and then I know exactly where to look for. But yeah.
May I ask you one last little
Yes,
question?
yes.
I went to the findyourmentor.com. I had to make an account, and I thought, okay, I wait until I spoke to you. But can I just make up an account there? And
No, right now, all you can do is leave your email address,
yes.
because we're in pre-launch. So you can't set up a profile yet. But as soon as you can.
Yeah, but I was asked for making an account or making that email address with a password, I guess.
No, on findyourmentor.com, all you can do actually is leave your email address.
Okay, now that was asked, and I thought, okay, I will wait until I spoke to you, but
Yeah, okay. No, just leaving your email address is all you can do right now, and
Okay.
then join the Facebook, huh? Yeah, it's very we have a certain groups now, but I can send you the links, and then you can decide if you want to
Okay.
join.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Now, till soon then again, Sophia.
Yes.
And
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Till soon. Bye.
Jeannie.